How much does it cost to live in Lausanne, one of the most expensive cities in Europe, and I believe in the world, as a family of 3 with a small kid? Let me share with you our average monthly expenses from the last year. Hi, I'm Maria. I have been living in Switzerland for more than 7 years, and on this channel I share my life and expat experiences. This video is not about a perfect budgeting or saving tips. Here I share our real experience, real numbers as a family of a quite modest income. If you think about Switzerland, you might think that people, especially expats, earn super high salary here. It's not our case. We have a quite average income here. I work in public sector. My husband works in a small company. When we first moved to Switzerland, we were young students, not married, no kids. Back then, everything felt super expensive and unfamiliar. It still feels very expensive, but it doesn't shock me anymore. And back then, we tried to save on everything, or let's say on everything we could save. Over time, not only did our habit changed, but also did our situation. We got married, we had a kid, and our income grew a bit, and so our priorities shifted. Now, with new financial goals in mind, I want to review our spendings to live comfortably but mindfully. Let's start with the most important, but yet not the most expensive part, which is housing. We live in 3.5 PS apartment of around 80 square meters, which is a 2-bedroom apartment, 5 minutes from metro and 15 minutes from the downtown by public transport. Our rent is 2,000 francs per month, including heating. On top of that, we pay around 60 francs in utilities. This includes electricity and the famous Serafa media tax. Let's add internet and mobile plan here, which is 130 per month, and some other internet subscriptions sum up to around 40 francs per month. Then we have insurances that are not related to health or car. This would be a personal responsibility insurance and ECA, the natural hazard insurance, around 20 francs per month. I'm also planning to add a legal insurance. So if you have any suggestions on legal insurance, please leave them in the comments. Talking about insurances, the basic health insurance is mandatory in Switzerland. Our basic health insurance costs 390 francs per adult, and this is one of the cheapest options in our area for our age. For our son, it costs 140. I don't think this is the cheapest in the area, but we just didn't want to change the health insurance for him. We also contribute to the complementary health insurance since 3 or 4 years now, and it sums up to 150 francs for all of us. I personally think this is a good investment in my case and in case of our son, but my husband pays premiums and uses bare minimum. Our health-related expenses include co-payments for our kids' doctoral visit and prescriptions. Luckily for kids, the franchise is 0 francs and your co-payment is only 10%. 0 franchise means that insurance starts to pay for your doctoral visits immediately. You don't have to wait until you pay your contributions, your franchise. And 10% co-payments means that till a certain amount, I think 700 francs, you will still pay 10% of your medical bills, of your kids' medical bills, up to 700. Then everything covers by the insurance. As adults, we don't go to hospital or to see doctor. We still don't have family doctor after 7 years here. Exceptionally, I went to the hospital once last year, and so did my husband. But we still go to pharmacy to buy some beauty and body care products. And somehow this summed up to 150 francs per month on average last year. Now I don't remember whether these were co-payments for doctoral visits or mainly beauty products from pharmacy. Let's continue on self-care. I do massages at least once a month, and on average I spend 160 on massages per month. But since my complementary health insurance covers 90% of this bill, I paid only 16 francs per month. Then our gym memberships, our two memberships cost around 140 altogether. But again, we are reimbursed 500 per year, 250 for each from our complementary health insurance, which results in 100 francs for our two memberships. And here we come to the biggest expense category, at least at this point of our life, which is daycare. Our son goes to a public daycare, which is actually a private daycare, which is subsidized by the city. The full price of this kind of daycares in our city is around 2,600 francs per month. Families that have net income of 14,000 per month would pay this full price, and the rest will get some reimbursement. Since we are below this threshold, we get a discount. So our bill is 2,100 francs. The category that surprised me was groceries. This one exploded compared to when we just moved and were way more frugal. Last year we spent on average 1,100 francs for groceries. Here we don't talk exclusively about food, but about all the goods that you can buy in Migros and Coop. Although it's not only food, it still feels quite expensive. Do you think it's an overall economical inflation or just our lifestyle inflation? I think it's both. On top of groceries, we spend on average 125 francs on eating at work. For eating out, let's add another 200 francs. Household goods take around 120 francs on average. This covers 1 or 2 annual IKEA outings. You always find to buy something there. Then transportation. For the first 6 years of living here, we didn't have a car, and this was one of the best financial decisions. And during all those 6 years, my husband worked in another city in Geneva, which is 70 kilometers away. So he was commuting 2.5 hours daily. And actually, this is very typical in Switzerland, to commute to work half of your day. So my husband was commuting 2.5 hours per day. Yet then it was more practical to do it by train. Since my husband started a job in another less accessible town, we bought a car. We don't have car payments since we bought it in cash, but still it eats a lot of our budget. Car expenses are around 700 per month. This includes petrol, parking, insurance, and maintenance. I am a lucky one to live close to my work, so I mostly walk, which is free, or take public transport. And public transport is 70 francs per month. Some smaller but regular categories include clothes, 150, gifts, 100, education, 150, entertainment, let's say 100, and travel, 700 if we divide it through the year. Some unexpected repairs or little surprises are 50 francs per month. Finally, the boring part is some random fees like permits renewal and documents post. This somehow summed up to 80 francs per month, quite a lot. And then banking fee is 30 francs for our 2 bank accounts, and that's a lot. I have to do something about this. And this all together sums up to 9,300 francs. And we haven't yet talked about taxes. But let's keep it for another video. I used to believe that we have a modest budget. Maybe we do, but it definitely needs some improvement and revision. I will work on it and share my updates and tips with you. So stay tuned. Let me know in the comments whether this was useful for you. Maybe you are moving to Switzerland and want to estimate your budget, or maybe share with us your monthly expenses. Like, subscribe, and take care.